The rain was beating down on the streets of downtown Sao Paulo that winter night. The biting wind cut through even the thickest coats, causing a few pedestrians still out and about to quicken their steps. The clock on the tower read 11:17 p.m. Most of the lights in the commercial buildings were already off. Amid the shadows of the buildings, a solitary figure walked slowly. Helena Santos, 32, adjusted the worn-out beanie that barely protected her hair from persistent humidity. She had just left her second job as an office cleaner and was now heading to the bus stop for the long journey to the suburbs where she lived with her 7-year-old daughter. Helena was one of those people who, despite the difficulties, maintained a rare dignity. She had been raising little Julia alone since her husband had abandoned them when the girl was only 2 years old. She worked 2 jobs, slept little, but never complained. Her brown eyes, although tired, still held a light of hope. That night, however, her body was begging for rest. The week had been particularly difficult. Julia had the flu and Helena had had to spend the little money she had saved on medicine. The money for the month's rent was tight, and she still didn't know how she would make it. As she walked along the nearly deserted Avenida Paulista, something caught her attention. A man was sitting on the curb, hunched over, breathing heavily. Even from a distance, Helena could tell that something wasn't right. She could have simply gone on her way. After all, in the big city, she had learned to be suspicious of strange situations. But something in her compelled her to approach him. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The man looked up. He was a gentleman of about 60, dressed in fine clothes, although now soaked by the rain. His face was pale, his lips slightly purple. "I can't breathe properly," he replied with difficulty. "My medicine?" Helena immediately dropped her bag on the floor and squatted down beside him. "Do you have the medicine? Where is it?" With shaking hands, he pointed to the inside pocket of his jacket. Helena hesitated for a second before helping him search. She found a small bottle of nitroglycerin. She had taken care of her grandmother's heart condition before, and she knew what that meant. "Is that it? Are you having a heart attack?" The man nodded, unable to speak. Helena acted quickly, helping him place the pill under his tongue. Then she took off her own scarf and wrapped it around his neck to protect him from the cold. "I'll call an ambulance. Hold on tight." As she dialed 911 on her old crack-screen cell phone, Helena noticed that there was no one else around to help. The rain was coming down harder now, drenching her completely, but she remained by the stranger's side, holding a broken umbrella over him in an attempt to protect him. "My name is Helena," she said, trying to keep him conscious. "What's yours?" "Artur Mendez," he replied with difficulty. "Mr. Arthur, the ambulance is on its way. Please try to stay awake. Talk to me." For the next 15 minutes until the ambulance arrived, Helena held the stranger's hand, talking about the weather, about how beautiful the city looked even in the rain, anything to keep him alert. When the paramedics finally arrived, Arthur seemed a little better, the color gradually returning to his face. "You saved my life," he murmured as they placed him on the stretcher. Helena smiled gently. "Anyone would have done the same, sir." Before the paramedics closed the ambulance doors, Artur tried to say something else, but Helena couldn't hear. One of the paramedics asked if she was a relative and if she would like to accompany him to the hospital. "No, I don't know him," Helena replied. "I was just passing by and saw he needed help." When the ambulance left, Helena realized she had missed the last bus. She would have to wait for the first one in the morning or spend the little money she had on a taxi. She looked at her watch. It was almost midnight. She sighed, thinking about the long night that lay ahead. The next day, Helena arrived late for her first job as a supermarket cashier. The manager scolded her severely, threatening to fire her if that happened again. She just nodded, choking back her tears. She couldn't afford to lose that job. Life went on. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Helena continued her exhausting routine of work and caring for her daughter. The episode with the man in the rain became just a distant memory. 6 months later, on a Saturday morning, Helena was at home preparing breakfast for Julia when she heard a knock on the door. It was unusual to have visitors, especially at that hour. When he opened the door, he came across a young, well-dressed man holding a folder of documents. "Good morning. Are you Helena Santos?" Yes, it's me, she replied suspiciously. My name is Ricardo Alves. I work for Mr. Artur Mendez. He asked me to deliver this to you personally. Helena frowned, confused. Artur Mendez? Yes. You helped him a few months ago, during a heart attack on Avenida Paulista. The memory came back immediately. Oh, yes. How is he? Is he okay? It's great, thanks to you. He asked me to deliver these documents and to invite you to lunch tomorrow, if possible. Helena took the envelope hesitantly. Look, I appreciate it, but I'm working all day tomorrow and... Mr. Mendez mentioned that this could be an issue and asked that I let you know that he will compensate you for any financial loss for your time. It is very important to him. Intrigued, Helena finally agreed. The lawyer gave her the address of a restaurant in Jardins, one of the city's most exclusive neighborhoods. After he left, Helena opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter and a check that made her eyes widen in astonishment. 10,000 reis. The letter was brief. Dear Mrs. Helena, I hope this amount will help to offset any inconvenience my invitation may cause you. Consider it an advance on what I have to offer you. Your kindness saved my life that rainy night, and now I would like to have the opportunity to properly express my gratitude. Best regards, Artur Mendez. Helena sat there, stunned. 10,000 reis was more than she had earned in 4 months of working at both jobs. For a moment, she considered not going to a meeting and simply returning the check. It seemed wrong to accept so much money for something as simple as helping someone in need. But the situation at home was critical. The rent was late, Julia needed school supplies, and winter was approaching again, requiring new clothes. On Sunday, after leaving Julia with a neighbor, Elena put on her best outfit, a simple dress she saved for special occasions, and headed to the address indicated. She was nervous, feeling out of place as she walked into the luxurious restaurant. The maitre d' led her to a reserved table where an elegant gentleman was waiting for her. Helena recognized him immediately, despite his appearance being much better than on the rainy night. Artur Mendez stood up to greet her. Mrs. Helena, you don't know how happy I am that you came. Please have a seat. During lunch, Artur told him about his life. He was the owner of one of the largest construction companies in the country, a widower for 5 years, with 2 adult children living abroad. He explained that night he was returning alone from a late meeting when he felt the first symptoms of a heart attack. The doctor said if I had gone another 10 minutes without treatment, I probably wouldn't be here today, he explained. Not only did you call for help, but you kept me conscious and calm. That made all the difference. Helena blushed at the compliment. Anyone would have done the same, Mr. Mendez. No, Helena. Several people passed me that night and went on their way. You were the only one who stopped. And after getting to know you better through the information my assistant gathered, I understand why. Helena felt uncomfortable with the idea that he had investigated her life. Don't worry, Arthur smiled, sensing her discomfort. I just wanted to make sure I was helping the right person. And now I know I am. He then explained that he wanted to offer her a job in his company as coordinator of a new social project he was implementing. We need someone who truly understands the needs of the people we want to help. Someone with genuine empathy and the ability to work. You would be perfect for this. Helena almost choked on the water she was drinking. But I don't have the training for that. I only have a high school diploma. Education can be acquired. Character cannot. And it is precisely your character that impressed me, Helena. In the days that followed, Helena learned more about the project. A foundation supports single mothers in vulnerable situations, offering professional training, medical and legal assistance, as well as daycare for children. The proposed salary was 5 times higher than what she earned from her 2 current jobs combined. Still hesitant, Helena agreed to start as an experiment. She quit her jobs and, for the first time in years, allowed herself to dream of a different future for her and Julia. The first few months were difficult. Helena felt constantly insecure, worried that she wasn't up to the job. Artur, realizing this, hired private tutors to help her develop the necessary skills. Little by little, she gained confidence. 1 year after that rainy night, the Novo Manhasset Foundation was officially launched, with Helena as an executive director. The project quickly gained visibility and began to transform the lives of dozens of women in similar situations to the one she herself had experienced. Helena moved with Julia to a better apartment in a safer neighborhood. The girl was able to attend a private school and have access to music lessons, a dream that Helena never imagined she could achieve. Over time, Artur and Helena developed a deep friendship. He became a mentor of sorts to her, encouraging her to return to school. At the age of 35, Helena enrolled in college to study social work. You know, Helena, Arthur once told her over coffee in his office, "Most people think I changed your life, but the truth is you changed mine." Helena looked at him, surprised. "What do you mean?" "Before that night, I was a bitter man, focused only on accumulating more money, more power. My children barely spoke to me. I had forgotten what really matters in life." He paused, overcome with emotion. "Your selfless gesture made me question everything. You had nothing to gain by helping an old stranger in rain, but you did it anyway." 3 years after the life-changing encounter, Helena graduated with honors. At the graduation ceremony, Artur was there, applauding proudly like a father. The foundation now served more than 500 women and had expanded its services to 3 states. Julia, now 10 years old, had become a happy and secure child, with opportunities that her mother never had. Sometimes, when she watched her daughter sleeping peacefully in her room decorated with stars on the ceiling, Helena would get emotional thinking about how life could change in an instant. One autumn afternoon, 5 years after their meeting in the rain, Arthur invited Helena and Julia to lunch at his country house. There, he revealed that he had been diagnosed with a new heart problem, this time more serious. "The doctors have given me a year to live at most," he said calmly, "and I want to use that time to get everything in order." Helena felt tears well up. In half a decade, this man had become part of her family. "Don't cry," he pleaded, holding her hands. "I've lived more in these 5 years than in the previous 6 decades. And that's because of you." In the months that followed, Artur groomed Helena to take over the foundation completely. He also included her in his will, leaving her a significant sum to secure her and Julia's future, as well as a minority stake in his companies. "I don't want you to have to worry about money ever again," he explained. "I want you to dedicate your energy to continuing to help people like you did for me." 8 months after revealing his condition, Arthur passed away peacefully in his sleep. The funeral was attended by hundreds of people, many of whom had been touched by the foundation's work. Arthur's children, who had been reconnected with their father in recent years thanks to Helena's positive influence, thanked her for bringing humanity back to the man they had barely recognized before. On the 10th anniversary of the Novo Amanhessa Foundation, now present in all Brazilian states and with international projects, Helena was invited to give a speech. On stage, in front of thousands of people, she recalled that rainy night. Often in life, small gestures can trigger unimaginable transformations. That night, I wasn't looking to change my life or anyone else's. I simply did what my heart told me was right. And that small act of kindness set off a chain reaction that continues to this day, affecting thousands of lives. She paused, looking at Julia, now a 17-year-old college-bound girl, sitting in the front row. "The real miracle wasn't that I helped Mr. Mendez, or that he changed our lives afterwards. The miracle was that we were both open to seeing the best in each other, to believing that people could be kind without expecting anything in return. That's the most valuable lesson I've learned, and one I try to pass on every day." That rainy night had become the beginning of a new chapter, not only for Helena and Julia, but for all the women who now found hope through the foundation. And as she finished her speech, Helena knew that, somewhere, Arthur was smiling, satisfied that he had turned gratitude into purpose. As she was leaving the event, a young mother with a child in her arms timidly approached Helena. "Ma'am, I just want to thank you. Before the foundation, I had no hope. Today I have a job, my son is in daycare, and I'm studying at night." Helena hugged the woman, remembering herself 10 years ago. "No need to thank me. Just promise that when you can, you'll help someone in need, even if it seems like a small thing." And so the story continued, like a virtuous circle of kindness that expanded infinitely proving that a simple gesture on any rainy night can change not just one life, but entire generations. That night, as she walked home, Helena stopped for a moment to watch the light rain falling over the city. She couldn't help but smile as she thought of how the drops of water that had once represented hardship now brought her memories of transformation and hope. "Thank you, Arthur," she whispered to the starry sky that was beginning to peek through the clouds. "I promise to continue your legacy." And she knew, deep in her heart, that this promise would be fulfilled not only for her, but for all the lives that had been and would still be touched by that unexpected encounter on a winter night, when a poor woman saved a millionaire man on the street, without knowing that years later he would change her life forever. Over the years, the Novo Manhasser Foundation has established itself as one of the most important social organizations in the country. On the institution's 15th anniversary, Helena, now a 47-year-old woman, was sitting in her office looking out the panoramic window at the city that had once seemed so hostile to her. The walls around her were decorated with certificates, awards, and photographs that told the story of that unlikely journey. Among them, her favorite, a simple photograph of Helena and Artur during the inauguration of the Foundation's first headquarters. He in his impeccable suit, she with a shy smile, both cutting the inaugural ribbon. The phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. "Mom, are you busy?" Julia's voice, now a young 22-year-old doctor, sounded on the other end of the line. "For you, never," Helena replied with a smile. "I just got out of the meeting with the hospital board. They approved the project. We will be able to open the pediatric wing in partnership with the Foundation next semester." Helena felt her heart swell with pride. Julia had chosen medicine inspired by Artur's story and was now following her mother's footsteps in her own way, working to ensure that children from underprivileged families had access to specialized treatments. "He would be so proud of you, daughter," Helena said, her voice choked with emotion. "From both of us, Mother, from both of us." After hanging up, Helena turned her attention to a pile of letters on the table. They were letters from women assisted by the Foundation, sharing their stories of overcoming difficulties. She made a point of reading each one personally, even now that the organization served tens of thousands of people. A soft knock on the door interrupted her reading. It was Marcos, the driver who had worked with her for over a decade. "Dona Helena, it's time. The ceremony starts in an hour and traffic is heavy." Helena nodded, carefully closing the folder with the letters. That night was special. The Foundation would receive the National Human Rights Award for its work in social transformation. In the car on the way to the event, Helena reflected on how her life had changed. She remembered when she had to take 3 buses to get to work, the sleepless nights worrying about overdue bills, the constant fear of not being able to provide a decent future for her daughter. "Marcos, can we take a quick detour before we head to the event?" "Of course, Dona Helena." "Where to?" "Paulista Avenue. There's a specific place I want to visit." 20 minutes later, the car pulled up near the exact spot where, 15 years earlier, she had found Arthur on that rainy night. Helena got out of the vehicle and walked to the spot, now marked with a small, discreet bronze plaque that few noticed, a personal initiative of hers, with the inscription, "Here, in 2010, an act of kindness changed many lives. AM and HS." Helena knelt down and touched the plaque gently with her fingertips. She hadn't planned to cry, but the tears came anyway, not of sadness, but of deep gratitude. "I can still feel your presence, you know," she murmured, "especially on important days like today." Back in the car, Helena received a message on her cell phone. It was from Carlos, Artur's eldest son, who now presided over his father's business group. "Helena, I know you'll be busy with the awards today, but I wanted to let you know that the board has unanimously approved the expansion of the Foundation to Portugal and Angola. Dad always believed you could change the world. It looks like he was right, as always. Good luck tonight. We'll be there cheering you on." In the packed auditorium, Helena took a deep breath before stepping onto the stage to accept her award. The bright lights momentarily blinded her, reminding her of the ambulance's headlights that distant night. When she began to speak, her voice was steady, carrying the confidence of someone who had known both despair and hope firsthand. "This award does not belong to me," she began. It belongs to every woman who has found the strength to start over, to every child who now dreams without fear, to every volunteer who give their time to change realities. And it belongs especially to a man who taught me that true wealth lies in the ability to transform gratitude into action. From the front row, Julia smiled at her mother. Beside her were Artur's two sons with their families. At the back of the room, Helena recognized the faces of women who had been through the foundation and were now returning as mentors, volunteers, or employees. 15 years ago, I was just a tired woman coming home after a long day at work, Helena continued. I had nothing special to offer other than a few minutes of my time and a little compassion. But I've discovered that sometimes that's all someone needs, to be seen, to be valued as a human being. As she spoke, Helena noticed one young woman in particular in the audience. Raquel, one of the foundation's first beneficiaries, now a law graduate and head of the organization's legal department. Beside her was her teenage daughter, who was named Helena in honor of the woman who had changed her family's destiny. The greatest gift I received was not financial, Helena continued. It was the opportunity to continue the cycle of kindness, to see the impact that small actions can have when multiplied. True social transformation does not happen top-down, but through genuine human connections, one person, one story, one moment at a time. After the ceremony, while chatting with officials and sponsors, Helena felt slightly dizzy. In recent months, she had ignored signs of exhaustion, prioritizing work over her own health. Ironically, the same thing Artur had done for years before he met her. Julia, with her clinical eye, noticed immediately, "Mom, that's enough for today. I'm taking you home." The next day, after tests, Helena received a diagnosis she had feared: severe hypertension and signs of exhaustion. The doctor was emphatic in recommending a reduction in workload and a break for recovery. "I can't stop now," Helena argued with Julia at home. "We have the international expansion, the new programs. And do you think Mr. Arthur would like you to get sick because of work? Remember what he always said." Helena completed the sentence, smiling. "We don't save lives to lose ours in the process." It was during this forced period of rest that Helena began writing her memoirs. What began as a way to pass the time turned into a larger project. A book that would tell not only her story with Artur, but also the stories of dozens of women who had passed through the foundation. The manuscript, titled Encounters That Transform, was published the following year and quickly became a national bestseller. The royalties were donated in full to a new foundation fund to finance college scholarships for children of single mothers. On a sunny afternoon, during a book signing at a bookstore in the city center, an elderly lady timidly approached Helena. "You don't know me," she said in a trembling voice, "but I knew Arthur very well. I was governess in his house for over 30 years. Helena invited her to sit down. "He was always a good man deep down," the lady continued. "But after his wife died, he became bitter and distant. In the last years of his life, however, he became the idealistic young man I had known decades ago. He told me about you, about that night. He said you had not only saved his life, but given him back his soul." The woman then opened her bag and took out a small object wrapped in cloth. "Before he died, he asked me to keep this and give it to you when the right time came. I believe that with the book and everything that is happening, that time is now." Helena carefully unwrapped the small package, revealing an old gold pocket watch. Opening it, she saw an inscription on the inside of the lid. "To Helena, it is not the time we have, but what we do with it that matters. With eternal gratitude, Arthur." That night, alone in her apartment, Helena watched the city lights through the window, Arthur's watch in her hands. She thought about how a chance encounter had set off a chain of events that changed not only her life, but the lives of thousands of people. The phone rang, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was an international number. Helena answered, intrigued. "Miss Santos? This is Maria Luisa from the University of Lisbon. We received your book and were impressed with the work of the foundation. We would like to invite you to be a keynote speaker at our conference on social innovation next month." Helena accepted the invitation, feeling that a new chapter was about to begin. The expansion into Portugal, what had previously seemed like just a project on paper, was now taking on real dimensions. 2 months later, on an autumn morning in Lisbon, Helena was walking along the cobblestone streets of the old city when she spotted a young woman sitting on a park bench, silently weeping. For a moment, she hesitated. She was late for an important meeting with potential Portuguese financiers. But then she felt the gentle weight of Arthur's watch in her coat pocket. She smiled to herself and changed direction, approaching the young woman. "Hello," he said kindly in Portuguese. "Is everything okay? Can I help you in any way?" 20 years had passed since that rainy night in Sao Paulo. Helena was now 52 years old, with soft wrinkles framing her eyes that still held the same glow of determination. The New Dawn Foundation was present in 5 countries and had helped more than 100,000 women and their families find new paths. Julia had married and given Helena a grandson, whom she named Artur. The boy, now 3 years old, was the joy of her life. Often, when her grandson slept at home, Helena would sit by his bedside and tell him the story of the rain angel, as she had come to call Artur in her children's stories. "Grandma, was the rain angel rich?" little Arthur asked one night. "Yes." "Dear, he had a lot of money," Helena replied. "Then why did he need help?" Helena smiled, touched by the child's innocent wisdom. "Because even people who seem to have it all sometimes need something money can't buy. Compassion, time, a sincere gesture of kindness." "And did the rain angel also help other people afterwards?" "Yes, many. And do you know the best part? The people he helped also helped others, who helped others, like waves in a lake." The next morning, Helena received a call from Carlos, Artur's son, now a middle-aged man. "Helena, we found something in Father's old files while renovating his office. It's a letter addressed to you, with instructions to deliver it on the 20th anniversary of, well, the day you met." Helena felt her heart race. "That will be in a few months." "Exactly. I know it's a strange request, but can we respect his wishes?" On the exact day that marked 20 years since that rainy night, Helena returned to the same spot on Avenida Paulista. Carlos was waiting for her with a sealed envelope in his hands. The place had changed over the years, new buildings, new stores, but Helena could still picture the scene perfectly. The rain, the man lying on the curb, her own hesitation followed by the decision to stop and help. "He planned everything, didn't he?" Helena commented with a smile. "Down to the last detail," Carlos agreed, handing her the envelope. "I'll leave you alone to read it. I'll be at the cafe around the corner when I'm done." With slightly trembling hands, Helena opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter on paper yellowed with age. "Dear Helena, if this letter has reached your hands, it means that 20 years have passed since our providential encounter. It also means that, as I planned, I am no longer there to witness the continued impact of your goodness on the world. I have often wondered what would have happened if you had chosen to go your own way that night. Maybe I would have survived somehow, or maybe I wouldn't, but I would certainly have remained the empty man that I was, rich in material possessions and poor in genuine human connections. When people ask me why I invested so much in the foundation and in you, many expected a dramatic story about how you saved my life. The truth is deeper. You reminded me of what it means to be truly human. You gave me back something I didn't even know I had lost. I have one last request to make. In the company safe, there is an additional document with instructions for Carlos. It is my wish that the New Dawn Foundation become completely independent of the business group, with a perpetual fund that will guarantee its existence for generations. You have always been the true soul of this project, and now it formally belongs to you and to the thousands of women who represent its future. Helena, many people spend their entire lives never finding their true purpose. Not only did you find yours, but you helped countless others find theirs. There is no legacy more precious than that. With eternal gratitude and admiration, Artur. Helena carefully folded the letter, keeping it close to her chest. The tears that ran down her face mixed with the fine drizzle that was beginning to fall, as if the sky itself wanted to recreate the scene of that first meeting. Looking up between the gray clouds and the towering skyscrapers, Helena whispered, "Thank you for teaching me that sometimes miracles don't come from above, but from the choices we make down here." The next day, The front page of the country's main newspapers announced the creation of the largest philanthropic fund in national history, entirely dedicated to social causes led by women. The official name was Fondo Perpetuo Artur Mendez, but Helena knew that for her, always be the Fondo Encontros que Transformum. In her speech during the official announcement, Helena shared a reflection she had written the night before. Life sometimes places us at crossroads where a simple choice, to stop or move forward, to reach out or look away, can set off a chain of events beyond our comprehension. We will never know the true impact of our actions, but we can choose to act with kindness, even when it means stepping outside our comfort zone or our planned route. Because in the end, it's not the years in our life that count, but the life in our years, and how we allow our life to touch other lives. At 60 years old, already a grandmother of 3 grandchildren, and considered one of the most influential women in the country, Elena continued to personally visit the Foundation's projects. She made a point of meeting each new beneficiary, listening to their stories, hugging them and saying, "Your life matters, your effort matters, and one day you will change someone's life too." At a graduation ceremony for one of the Foundation's professional development programs, one of the students asked Helena what the secret was to building something so great from nothing. Helena smiled, instinctively touching the pocket watch she always carried with her. There is no secret. Just be attentive to the encounters that life brings you. And remember, sometimes saving a life doesn't just mean preventing someone from dying, but giving that person a reason to live fully. And so the story continued, no longer just as a tale of a poor woman who saved a rich man, but as a testament to the transformative power of a small act of kindness that, like seeds thrown in the wind, find fertile soil in unexpected places and blossom far beyond what we could have imagined. Yendi,